I'm here to talk about the Kellogg Child and Family Program. Just as a little quick reminder, it's the only program of its kind in the state. We're really proud about that. We have many achievements from 2023, and I'm here to tell you just a little bit about them. We have continued our Milwaukee County collaboration through a grant extension through the entirety of 2023, and that allowed us to have information directly to the WeTrack referrals. WeTrack is basically the state's registry for all babies that are identified with hearing loss. In part because of that, our referrals last year doubled. So we had twice as many referrals, and that allows for direct access for those families when they want to, or when their child has a diagnosed, identified hearing loss. We had the ability to fill an intake service coordinator position, as well as a deaf ASL specialist was hired. That intake and service coordinator position really allowed us to help in our goal of reducing the age at referral. Last year, I reported that our age at referral was 10.5 months. It was 11.5 months the year before. This year, overall, it is decreased to 8.5 months. When we look at Milwaukee County specifically, that is even lower, and that is at about 7.7 months of age. So our goal, obviously, is as early as possible. If we can meet with the families when they're a month old, we would. But our long-term goal, realistically, is to identify babies, talk to families, and get them into participating active services by the age of 6 months. Research shows us that the outcomes are significantly improved when that happens. So our goal is 6 months or less for that age of referral and into services. So we are inching our way there. We're very proud of that. Another thing that we were experiencing last year was that 50% of our families were declining services initially. So 50% of families that were contacted would say, I'm good, no thank you, I don't need this right now. We have been able to reduce that to 36%. And that means that the ability to directly talk to these families right at the beginning, we're able to address some of the concerns that they may have and really talk about the issues that they don't even know that they need to think about at that time. We have been able to then, our enrollment, I'm sorry I didn't show over here, the bar graph shows our referrals in the blue line and the actual enrolled families in that orange line. As you can see, our referrals are up. They're the most that they've been over the last 5 years. And that referral rate looks a little low in comparison to that blue line. However, when we take into account families that were families that ultimately their children were diagnosed with typical hearing, they did not have a need for services for us, and or other issues that are very specific that can come up, only about 8 to 9% of families declined our services. So our overall enrollment, when we look at all of that, is better than 70%, and that's really very, very good. So we are happy about that. Another thing we have experienced this year is this pie chart really shows that the diversity of the families that we are serving is really increasing. This is the first year that I can recall that our families that are white, Caucasian are less than 50%. Last year we served 40% of our total population was white, Caucasian, and 60% had other ethnic, race, and cultural backgrounds. So we are really pleased that we're able to be reaching those families, and some of those families, cultures and groups that have traditionally been more hesitant to access services. We are really working hard at reaching them and getting them into services. Some other things that we're really proud about is that we've completely reestablished our graduate student internships programs. We have regular students from University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, and we were able to host some students this summer from Marquette as well. So, and this coming semester, we have a full-time intern who will be with us for a greater amount of the week. So we are excited to be able to have the opportunity to influence and kind of spark the hearing loss bug, as we call it, in the up-and-coming professional generation. We were able to offer our quarterly Family Link events, which have been very well received. Parents are very grateful that we're able to reconnect and have those opportunities for them. We were able to do some community outreach partly through our Z2 3 or 0-3 Connect Milwaukee County grant collaboration. I don't know if all of you are aware, but part of that is outreach to child care facilities and other professionals, organizations that provide a variety of services or that interact with families that have children in that 0 to 3, 0 to 5 age range. And we were able to visit 104 child care facilities last year, bringing our grand total to just under 160 from when we started this. So that's a lot of people to talk to and visit. In that, we were able to give out some paper screens, some red flags, what to look for, and in accordance with that, we were able to give out close to 4,700 screens. So people are becoming aware, we're trying, we are really working on that. We also are a United Way Diaper Hub, which I will talk a little bit about later. So I would like to move on to our challenges for the year. Number one is capacity. We've doubled our referrals. We have the majority of our families engaging in services, and we are just really, all of us are full to capacity. And so we are working hard to do that. We also have an increased intensity and variety of service needs. There are more families experiencing higher levels of instability, if you will. And we are so thankful to have our service coordinator position, because she has helped with a myriad of special social service needs for some of our families. Most markedly, we've seen an increase in housing instabilities for some of our families, and that can be quite unsettling, and or just life stability issues where unless we can address those and get things a little constant, families can't even begin to think about keeping batteries and charged and hearing aids in ears and sing songs with their babies. They're like, that obviously. Also, we have seen an increase in medically complex children. Our healthcare system and just the general technology is really awesome. Diagnostics are awesome, but that means that some of these families are coming to us with babies that have very complex and intense needs, and that just takes more time. And so that has also been something that we've seen an increase for. Another challenge that we have, I know this is kind of weirdly worded, is adherence to a variety of preferences and protocols. We work with all the Birth to 3 agencies in Milwaukee County and Birth to 3 programs in surrounding counties. We see families independently outside of a Birth to 3 agency. We work with a lot of Birth to 3 teams and service coordinators and professionals. And while Birth to 3 is Birth to 3, everybody does it just a little different, and everyone likes things just a little bit differently. So we work really hard at just blending into their teams and doing the best that we can to seamlessly collaborate with them, because we feel the importance of really getting to those babies. So while we don't mind doing it, it takes time and it takes a lot of organization to keep it all straight. And then of course funding, the big bugaboo always. We are very, very lucky and so thankful for our funding sources and our United Way funding, but we are working very hard to secure that funding. United Way funding across the board has began to decrease. We were very fortunate that our organization was an organization that received the least amount of funding decrease for our United Way funding, but we are very keen on securing that. Also, our Milwaukee County contract is secured through 2024 and into early 2025, but after that we don't have any formal collaboration as of yet. And while we have that, the funding that is available is capped. It is limited and it doesn't cover everything that we do in Milwaukee County. So we are very keen on keeping that relationship a positive relationship, and we will be starting conversations with them now about 2025 and beyond. And then just a little note, we have a higher incidence of families that are considered low income, that are needing some extra financial support. We have about 51% of our families are considered low income by governmental guidelines, and 32% of our families currently are at or below federally defined poverty levels. So that's pretty significant when we are working with a third of our families are at or below poverty. 67% of our families access our services via Medicaid. Medicaid, there's qualifying variables, income is one of them, but others, that medical complexity. But 67% of our families access through Medicaid. So that kind of takes a hit on some of that revenue that we can get in. And again, we're so thankful for the support of our funders and people like you who are out there making it happen for those little babies. I would like to show you a little video link of some of the things we do throughout our day. Most of you are aware of our toddler communication groups. And this is what you're seeing right now. I'm going to give it to full screen. We offer, like I said before, we're very proud to be able to offer options for families. We have the availability and the expertise in our therapists and our staff to be able to offer a signing or total communication approach for language and listening. We have a listening and spoken language group that you're seeing now that people think, oh, so you just don't sign. And correct, we don't use visual language in that group, but we also use very concerted and very specific strategies to develop listening skills and language. That was just a snapshot of some of our programming that most people are most familiar with, but most of our day is spent outside of this building. Most of our families we see in-home, go into homes, meet families. We employ a family coaching approach where we really want to teach the families what they can do all the hours that they're not with us to really develop their child's skills so that they themselves can work more efficiently towards their long-term goals for their family. This is our service coordinator who is getting the diapers, and she's packing some of those diapers and our infant care kits, our personal care kits, some of our blankets. All of this are things that we're able to access. Care kits, diapers, things through our United Way affiliation. We are a diaper hub for our families as well as families in the community. So other families that are not necessarily associated with our services can also access those diapers through us. On average, we give out about 1,300 diapers a month. Our biggest month, we gave out 1,700 diapers. All right, so our goals for the coming year are we are going to meet our revenue goal. We are going to do that, and I know that we will be able to do that. We're going to maintain and decrease the number of families that are opting out of services initially. We really, even if they do opt out, we have been able to put into place protocols that we can follow them. Traditional birth to 3 will often just close a case. Families say no thank you. It is an optional program. Families say no thank you. Birth to 3 says okay, and then there's never any other follow-up contact. We have protocols in place to continue that follow-up at regular intervals with families' permission. We are going to secure those WeTrack referrals and our Milwaukee County collaborations in a positive way. We want to hire another early intervention provider, most likely a speech-language pathologist. We will develop, continue, and strengthen those collaborations and partnerships that we currently have. We have something in the works with the Wisconsin Sound Beginnings EDDI group that you may be hearing about in future meetings. We'll keep you posted. And one of the goals is we'd like to offer an ASL class sometime, probably this summer, starting in the summer, late spring, summer, now that we have our deaf ASL specialist position filled. So I want to tell you a story of a little one who happens to live right here in West Allis. This little one, I'm going to refer to her as Sally. Sally is the youngest of 4 in her family. She lives with her mother and father and her 3 siblings. She is the only individual in her family that has a hearing loss. The family has no other family history or medical history that they know of to explain why she may have been born with a hearing loss. She was referred to us from the WeTrack, from the Universal Newborn Hearing Screening. We contacted the family. They were one of those 36% that said, you know what, we're good. We don't really need anything. With their permission, we said, can we call you back in a couple months? Like in a week, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, yes, you can call us back. So we called back a few times. We got no thank you, no thank you. And then at about 6 months of age, we called back again, and they agreed to meet with us just to talk with us in person and to have an intake to see if they were interested in services. Many of the families that we encounter, I'm just going to give this little blip here, many of the families that we encounter are going through something that they never realize that they ever have to talk about. They never plan for meeting a speech-language pathologist. They never plan for talking about hearing aids and batteries and wear time and therapy and all of that. And most of them, at some point along the way, will say, you met us in some of our worst times. You met us when we were feeling very overwhelmed, very sad, very angry. And that grief can sometimes be overpowering, and grief can sometimes present in all kinds of ways. And sometimes it presents in anger and resistance and that. And that is what we encountered when we met with this family. It was historically one of the hardest intakes that our providers have ever done. The family was very resistant. They were very angry. Everything that we were telling them, they had a yes, but response for. Their daughter was going to be fine. They didn't really see much need for the hearing aids. There really wasn't a big difference with or without the hearing aids on. They were a very busy family. They didn't understand why they needed to take time away from their jobs and spend time with this, and that they just said, you know what, we'll call you when we're ready. We don't really want to do this. And then the mother said, well, I am kind of interested in just knowing what you would do. And so we were able to start services at about 7 months of age. Again, that anger, that grief, that sadness came through, and that they were highly inconsistent. They always had a reason for canceling. We would reschedule, and I forgot, this was on my calendar. And some of it was legit, but some of it was just very difficult. Finally, when the child was about 9 months of age, they started, consistency improved. And wear time improved, and things improved. And fast forward to our Winter Wonderland event, which we were so thankful and lucky to have at the Betty Bren this year. And it was a marvelous event that I can talk more about if anyone's interested. But at this event, this family attended, all of their family, siblings, the mom, the dad, the baby, who is now about a little more than a year of age. And the father, who was he's a big, rough guy, he walked up to the 2 providers that had worked with him and seen him in that intake and said, I owe you an apology. And they were completely taken back, like, okay, what? And he said, no, seriously, I owe you an apology. I want to let you know that I know I gave you a hard time. I know I was rough on you. I know that you were doing your job, and thank you for doing your jobs. Thanks for not giving up on us. We have seen a tremendous difference in our child. She is delayed, but she's closing that gap. And he just said, I just want to thank you, and I want you to know that we're very, very thankful and happy with everything that you have done with us. And I just want to say, this warms my heart. This is part of our why. And this is why we are so keen on keeping our relationship with Milwaukee County and being able to have access to these families. If we did not have that WeTrack referral, we would never know about this family. Birth to 3 would never let us know about this family because they declined all services, and we would not have the opportunity to respectfully and with care and compassion follow up with them in a way that allowed them to be vulnerable with us and allowed them to allow us into their lives so that we can make a difference for their child. So thank you very much.
Hi everyone, I'm Christine. Like Amy said, I'm the director of the audiology department. We had a very exciting year in 2023. Our team consists of audiologist Dr. Meredith Klinker, Dr. Armona Nadler-Strick, Dr. Stacy Ryan, and myself. We have an audiology technician, Lori Sommerfeld. We have care coordinators, Desiree Hill and Amy Benz. We have a hearing conservation coordinator, Gary Kiltz. And we work very closely, thankfully, with the building department. In 2023, we had 3,814 appointments. This is 308 more appointments than we saw in 2022. We fit 877 new hearing aids in 2023. The audiology department serves patients of all ages, from young children to older adults. We are one of the few clinics in the area who continues to see Medicaid patients for hearing aid fittings. A lot of clinics will see patients for the hearing test, but no, we're not going to do the hearing aid fitting because it is not the reimbursement. So we believe that it is our ethical responsibility to provide care for all patients, no matter their financial circumstances. And I have said this for 4.5 years that I've been here, that is one reason why I am here. That is one of my whys. I find that very, very important. Since 2018, when Hear Wisconsin independently hired its first audiologist rather than contracting with UWM Audiology or the Medical College, the audiology department has grown by leaps and bounds, both from a staffing standpoint, like you've heard with our team, and a financial standpoint, as you can see on our graph. You can see the revenue numbers. They've grown a lot. In 2023, the audiology department exceeded its $750,000 financial goal. We ended the year at over $1,066,000. We had many successes and improvements in 2021. We added a new position of audiology technician to the audiology department team, who's probably my very favorite success. I've been pushing for this for a long time. Lori Sommerfeld has a doctorate in audiology, so she's our little unicorn. She works 35 hours per week. She has taken over, thankfully, our drop-off service. She checks in new and repaired hearing aids. She attends school screenings on the MAC because she did her externship at Children's Hospital. So she's really, really good at it. She also sees patients for appointments to pick up a repaired hearing aid or if they need assistance with pairing hearing aids to their cell phones. We installed a new office management system in the audiology department in 2023 in August with no interruption to patient appointments. That was a big deal. A few highlights of this new system is better recording capabilities and automatic appointment reminders, which I think is Jill's one of her favorite things, the automatic appointment reminders. Because of our UWM collaboration, UWM audiologist Stacy Ryan continues to see patients at Hear Wisconsin 1 day per week, about 10 hours a week. We continue to have the UWM speech pathology graduate students shadow the audiologist each semester as part of their course requirements. Our audiologists really enjoy teaching these graduate students about audiology, and it helps them get a general audiology and hearing aid knowledge when they're practicing as speech pathologists. Some of them are going to go into long-term care facilities, so they might have to deal with hearing aids from time to time. So it's good to get a foundation as speech pathologists. Moving on, some of our challenges. We said goodbye to Michelle Gazdecki. She moved out of state for her husband's professional relocation. He is a cardiologist, so he had to unfortunately move to Illinois. We said goodbye to UWM student Lily. The UWM funding of her position ended mid-year, and she also started speech pathology graduate school, so it's very exciting for her. Another challenge is third-party administrators, or TPAs. I know I mentioned this last year. Large insurance companies contract with the TPAs to provide a hearing aid benefit to their subscribers, most often in the form of a discount plan. And every insurance company has a different TPA that they are going to work with. Some don't. Many audiologists in the area have discontinued working with the TPA companies. We eliminated 2 companies in 2023 due to low professional reimbursement and difficulty providing optimal patient care. They can be very restrictive, and we continue to serve patients that have the TPA, United Healthcare Hearing, as they're a major Medicare replacement insurance plan that a large number of our patients have. So we're continually evaluating whether it's a good fit for our organization to work with the TPAs from a financial and workflow standpoint. Insurance reimbursement, that is always an ongoing challenge every year. Increased administrative test time for the audiologists, aside from patient appointments. After the patient leaves, we have more work ahead of us. Clinical notes, new hearing aid orders, repair orders, and returning patient phone calls and emails. This is in addition to our already full day, but Lori has taken a lot of that off of our plates, thankfully. Patient appointments are currently booking out 7 weeks for most types of appointments. And that is not uncommon in our area, in just this area for at all audiology clinics. So we have a video, day of the life of the audiology clinic. So that's one of my patients, Debbie. She was in for a 6-month hearing aid check. This is my favorite. That's Armona, and that is Edward. He's 102 years old, and this is his first hearing aid. He's a new hearing aid user. So what Armona is doing is real ear verification. And when you get a new hearing aid, there's a prescription for how much amplification it needs because of your hearing loss, but that does not take into account your ear canal anatomy. So everyone's ear canal is different. So that we need to make sure that that is appropriate for their hearing loss and their anatomy. That's his hearing aid. That is Fred. He is having an updated hearing test, and he is getting new hearing aids. We've been waiting for a couple of years. He's been very excited about that. That is Lori on the right, and Lou. Lou came in for a hearing aid repair that Lori is doing in our lab. And those are our care coordinators, Amy and Desiree. All right, so the audiology department goals. Our revenue goal for 2024 increased to $1,115,000 from our goal last year of $750,000 to reflect our continued department growth and success. We're going to be working on audiology appointment block scheduling to help maximize reimbursement and increase efficiency. Better reporting to make more informed strategic decisions. That's one thing that our new system is going to help us with. Patient outreach to maintain a strong Hear Wisconsin connection. For example, sending out birthday cards to our patients. This will help keep Hear Wisconsin fresh in the patient's minds. We will also be working to better communicate to all patients that Hear Wisconsin is a nonprofit organization and relies on donor contributions. For example, a message at the bottom of a monthly statement to send to patients. So the audiology impact story. In addition to traditional hearing aid fittings, we have patients who are bimodal users, so a cochlear implant on one ear and a hearing aid on the other ear. Many times we refer our existing patients out to Froedtert or the Medical College for a cochlear implant evaluation. Sometimes that takes years. If they are just not doing very well with their hearing aids, then it's time to have a cochlear implant evaluation. And then if they get the cochlear implant, then they come back to us for a new hearing aid that is compatible with their cochlear implant. 2 patients come to mind that we helped in 2023 who all came back to Hear Wisconsin for their hearing aid fitting after after their cochlear implant surgery. The first one is Dan. He started out with me and then he transitioned to Meredith because she had an opening in her schedule. He was one of our existing bimodal patients who upgraded his cochlear implant processor. He needed a new hearing aid to be compatible with his new processor, in addition to very complicated accessories needs, because he drives a truck and hands-free phone calls was a must, not to mention the law. After many hours of research, his Hear Wisconsin audiologist made his accessories, his upgraded processor, his cell phone, and his new hearing aid all work together. That hard work has earned our audiologist and the other audiologists 2 gifts of apple pies. Now I'm going to do the mobile clinic because unfortunately you're missing Gary. He is our hearing conservation coordinator. He is at an OSHA job today. So I am here in his replacement. Okay. Some of the achievements from the Mobile Audiology Clinic. In 2023, there were 30 new OSHA hearing conservation clients served. We had new partnerships with Casa Guadalupe, Freedom's Food Bank, City on the Hill, and Guest House to meet our mission of serving the underserved. We had new opportunities to screen children with the addition of Wauwatosa schools, Messmer schools, and Seton Catholic schools. We had over 50 OSHA hearing conservation contracts. In contrast, we completed 18 contracts in 2022. This represents a 300% increase. With the 54 contracts that we have, Hear Wisconsin is on track to generate $77,731 in hearing conservation revenue. 100% of the clients returned for year 2 of OSHA services. The utilization of the MAC was at 91.4% in 2023. The total number of individuals served was 5,800. So you can't see that at the bottom, but the breakdown of that is 1,782 free hearing screenings at 51 community events, which was schools, the Mexican consulate, community, health fairs, and areas like that. 3,565 OSHA hearing tests. 453 appointments were completed at senior living facilities. You can see in the pie graph on the right, on the far right, how the MAC was used in 2023. We did senior living facilities that comprise about 50% of use, and OSHA contracts and community service events was about 1/4 each. Next slide, please. Some challenges for the mobile clinic. Meeting the community need. We turned down more than a dozen different community events due to unavailability or booked dates. We're at a point now where demand is greater than we can accommodate because of the limited availability in 2024. Accommodating 3 shifts for OSHA jobs is another challenge. This leads to extended hours and long days. Another challenge is feeling of isolation for the MAC staff member. When being off-site every day, it's hard to stay in touch with the Hear Wisconsin happenings and news. For example, Gary has been at an OSHA site for the past few days and was already working at 3 a.m. today. I got an email from him at 3:30. And we originally had one of our audiologists on the MAC 2 days a week at senior living facilities, but now every audiologist takes a day, and that just makes a better work balance. Because being on the MAC is hard, and it is supposed to be just like, clinic on wheels, but it's not. It's cold, it is just a long day. So now all of us take a day, which is good because we all get to be out in the community and helping people, not just in our clinic. So then our video, this is a day in the life of the mobile clinic. That's Bill. He's having an updated hearing evaluation and a hearing aid check. So Meredith is doing the hearing test, and She's going to reprogram his hearing aids to his current hearing loss, if it's changed. And then she is doing a hearing aid cleaning. She took some wax out of his ears. So we have all the tools on the Mac that we do in clinic. That is Milwaukee Tool, and they're participating in OSHA testing. That's Gary with the site coordinator. And this is one of our recent school screenings. So the class will come on board, and those are little 5K kids. And that's Lori, our audiology technician. She's looking in his ears. And each student, it takes about 5 minutes between looking in their ears, giving them instructions, and doing the screening. And then at the end, they get a cute Mac sticker, and Gary's in the front, kind of keeping everything moving. And that is one of our speech pathology graduate students. They come on the Mac for the school screenings a lot. Our 2024 goal is for the mobile clinic. We're going to generate over $200,000 in revenue from OSHA hearing conservation and mobile audiology clinic services. We're going to maintain at least 85% utilization of the mobile clinic each month. And we're going to create 3 key partnerships that may secure grant funding for Here Wisconsin. Our impact story is relating to Special Olympics. The MAC participates in Special Olympic Games, and our audiologist, Meredith Klinker, performs hearing screenings and does hearing aid cleaning checks for the athletes. One athlete, Steve, didn't pass his hearing screening in the 2023 Summer Games. Meredith suggested that Steve have a full evaluation with a local audiologist, because he didn't have one. He did, and he recently got his hearing aids. Steve is amazed at what he can hear, and his parents love that the TV is not so loud. We received an email update from the Special Olympics coordinator, Missy, who sent pictures of Steve and his new hearing aids. And she also thanked Meredith for all she does for the Special Olympics athletes, the caregivers, and the volunteers. And she said it's just awesome having the MAC at the Special Olympics Wisconsin State Games.
All right, moving along here. For the Assistive Technology Center, yes, I am Lori. I'm the Director of Outreach and Technology for the Assistive Technology Center. And if we want to look at the achievements for 2023, we increased our sales for speech and mobility impaired vouchers. In 2022, we had 117 we serviced, and then last year we had 162. And those are higher end vouchers. Those require special order items like iPads, cases, screen protectors, and a speech app is required on any type of a speech voucher. Mobility certainly could be very cost-effective and higher-end products as well. We increased our TEP markup for special order items from 15 to 20%, and I know I'm the first that will say that's not a lot. But one positive from that is that now the TEP program is paying us also for an upgraded phone. Let's say they ordered a $1,000 phone, that's 128 gigabytes. That's what TEP would pay for, the lowest amount of space. Customer wants to upgrade to 256 gigabyte. What they would do previously is they would pay us for that upgrade, and then TEP would reimburse us for the 128. What TEP is doing now is they are reimbursing us for the 256 gigabyte as well. So the customer will pay us for the upgrade, and TEP will pay us for the additional amount of space for that iPhone or iPad. And we have had a few customers who, yes, have to buy the one TV and have a lot of space, so TEP will continue to pay us for that as well. That just started recently, so we're hoping to see a little bit more of an increase in that. We had a major reduction in UPS charges. One thing that was happening is that UPS charges us $30 weekly just to come here, pick up and drop off packages. That went from $30 down to $17 per week. And just an example of a shipment, something that maybe cost $17.42 previously is now costing us $10.41. Again, that just happened, so we will see that amount in 2024. And the majority of the packages really have been around $12 for us to ship, where previously those were like $20, $22 to ship. And we did hire an additional part-time staff, and she is fluent in American Sign Language. She wears a cochlear implant, she has hearing aids, and she can help us with the video phone. Right now, Abigail is on maternity leave, so hopefully she will be coming back. But right now, we have someone fluent in ASL every day of the work week. We can also assist with some of the deaf customers that come in as well. Some of the challenges, the TAP funding that ran out, that's the $100 copay that you need on several vouchers. They ran out of funding, and that did not become available again until July of last year. So we had a lot of customers who we could not service because of that. And we had back orders, and we still continue to have back orders on a lot of products. And when the products do become available, there is a quantity limit as to how many we can get. Maybe we need 12 of a particular phone. They would only allow us to maybe order 6. One time we did kind of beg and plead, and they did send us a few more so that we could take care of those customers who were probably already waiting about 3-4 months for those back orders to become available once again. And we have our video link. I was at, it's the Salvation Army Resource Center. That's in Oak Creek, and I was doing a presentation there. And here we are helping Michael. He's a Vietnam vet. He was getting a caption phone. We were explaining about that. That is Aaron, our newest employee. And then we were also showing him the wireless bed shaker that you can connect to your cell phone, so that when quickly cell phone goes off, the bed shaker will vibrate as well for you. This is another couple, this Tom and I think Kathy, who are getting some equipment. Christina is showing Helen and Carl some signaling devices. This is for Carl's brother-in-law, who has a TEP voucher. That's the one that is a pager that you can wear on your person. So if you're in any room of the house, your phone or your doorbell goes off, that will alert them by vibration, sound. And here Erin is on the video phone, and she is interacting with Dean and Susie. We get her very quickly there. And lastly, this is Arcadia, who is finalizing a TEP invoice. Okay, so our goals for 2024. We do want to meet or exceed our annual revenue goal of $488,550. That 550 includes max sales. Clearly, we did not make our sales goal last year because of the TAP situation. We want to continue improvements with our online sales and the e-commerce outcomes. We really did try to concentrate on that a little bit more last year, and we want to continue with it as well this year, so that maybe we can get some more sales through the website. Some niche marketing that we wanted to do. For the last 2 years, I had advertised in a Golf Digest. Kind of expensive. We didn't really see too much of a return on that. So I'm kind of switching gears, and there's a gentleman who is a customer of ours, and he put together this very colorful website that is called deafandhoh.com. It is a resource site, and we are going to be a resource on that particular site. It's all things hearing loss, and it's really, really a very, very nice type of website. And another one we might advertise in is the Pridely Community Guide. Several years ago, we were very much involved with that area, and with COVID and everything, kind of lost track of that, but they reached out to us to see if we would advertise again in their guide, and I'm looking into that one as well. And we want to get a grant for the $100 copays on speech and mobility vouchers. The TAP portion does not cover those vouchers because those primarily are customers who do not have a hearing loss. So I'm hoping that we can maybe get something where we can pay for that for those families who really do need that. And then my impact story, there is a family in Kenosha, and they applied for a speech impaired voucher for their 9-year-old son. Now this is a lower income family, and again, co-payment is required on this one. So his classmates are selling assorted items during lunch to help raise the $100 for him for the voucher program. So, yep. And I did just get his voucher, it came out actually rather quickly. So the speech language pathologist at the Kenosha Unified School District is just gonna let me know the outcome so that they were able to raise that $100 for that little boy so that he can get his iPad and speech app so that he can communicate with them as well.
Hi everyone. So we talk about fund development. As you can see on the pie chart, about the goal for 2023 was $540,000. And as you can see on the pie chart at the top corner, we raised $649,000. So this is the most raised dollars outside of the year that we had special campaign with the mobile audiology clinic and the renovation project. So 55% were grant, totally $360,000, and then we have 41% that were donation, totally $263,000, and then 4% for special event at $25,000. So special event dollar continue to be a low number as we have delayed the big annual fundraising event like closing cake. The dollars raised for special event were the sponsorship for the appreciation event last July, as well as the sponsorship and raffle ticket sale for Fall Festival in Wonderland that we provide to our friends and family. Currently, we have 32 active grants for 2024, with only 6 applications that were rejected last year, so with the 82% success rate. In previous years, we have struggled with getting enough unrestricted general operation dollars to give us greater flexibility in putting money where needed most. So last year, we focused on general operation with our funder, and we were very successful with that, with 94% of secured grants being general operation. Other achievements include the Hero Award, with La Smile being the first one to receive this honor at our appreciation event. The event garnered some new donors who gave donations in honor of La Smile. This also brought in new people, in La several of friends that who wanted to come and see him receive the award. So they came to the event. So new connections are opening doors for us to meet additional people in the community. So we have 43 new donors in 2023 and 5 new partnerships with organizations, programs, and sponsorship. And what is exciting is that we have 48 lapsed donors who did not get in 2022, but they renewed their gift in 2023. On the other side of it, we have 13 donors that did not get in 2023, so they are considered lapsed this year. I will be making an effort to reach out to the lapsed donors to reconnect with them and hopefully they'll renew support for us. Another great news is that we have 101 donors and funders who increased their gifts for a grant from prior year. So the request that we have with our annual appeal and with the grant application worked out really well. That we should show our need for additional funds. And one last achievement to mention is the Bunch of the Dream Team, which we already talked about. We are very excited for next week with meeting new people, just hopefully opening more doors for us. So, challenges for 2023 include the lack of donor information. We have some donors who have been giving for many years, but we don't have enough background information on them. We don't know why they give, and for their connection to Hero Carson. So some of those donors we don't have emails or phone number for. So it's just their address, their physical address, and they just reply to our annual appeal, with check. So so getting to know donors is one of my primary tasks for 2024, with the goal to meet some of them one-on-one, meet them over coffee or something like that, find out their connection to Hero Carson and their reason for supporting them. Another challenge is the database management, tracking, and reporting. We plan to take a deep dive into improving our database, organizing of information, and the reporting mechanic. You will review action and determine it will have training to be able to use Salesforce, that's the database we use, for Jill, Ruth, and I to make sure we can really put all the information in there and be able to get what we want out of it. Another challenge is nationwide and statewide donor giving is down for 2023 for various reasons, including personal financial concerns, inflation, and such. Many of our donors gave the same amount of prior year despite our ask for increased gifts in the annual appeal letters. 13 donors became lapsed donors, and then 16 donors actually decreased their donation amount from prior year. And the next slide. So I don't have a cute video to show you. So we just kind of put together some pictures of fundraising activities that I did over the year. So the first one is Kristen. I accepted a grant at a women's club. They had to do a bunch of events, and then the nonprofit come and receive the grant award. We have donor appreciation event, Chicken for Charity, thanks to Shannon, audiology, and open house. And then we have the Microsoft Chili Cook-Off Tour that we did in October, and then walkthrough hearing, which we usually do in May or June. So the goal for this year is to meet or exceed the annual fundraising revenue goal of $824,000. This is a 35% increase over 2023. As mentioned earlier, we are looking to elevate fundraising effort to support our programs in the coming years. Setting up meetings with the Dream Team to help increase the donor base and awareness about here in Wisconsin. And then we're also making effort to improve stewardship effort to increase donor commitment and retention. And another big project we want to do is expand our library of stories, videos, and photos for funding, presentation, and marketing. So we really want to improve everything. Sometimes we're using pictures from like 10, 15 years ago. We just want to really update everything. So impact story, I just want to share this. Thanks to Craig for this story. It would not have happened without Craig's effort. As we mentioned before, Craig was able to put together a Microsoft Chili Cook-Off Foundation here in Wisconsin in October. And we had about, I think, 10 employees or partners that came to the event. So Jill, Ruth, and I enjoyed meeting them, and we gave them a tour of the facility. One of them, Chris Maria, brought up that he has hearing loss due to his exposure to loud music for many years, attending concerts, playing his own music instrument without ear protection. He was absolutely thrilled with Here in Wisconsin what we can do for people with hearing loss. Greg had told Chris for several years to check out Here in Wisconsin, but he never got around to it until now. So now he is one of our most enthusiastic advocates for Here in Wisconsin. He is one of Dream Team's volunteers and has already listed 17 people he knows personally, with some who are top executives of their company. He plans to help open doors and introduce Here in Wisconsin to them. So, we're thankful.
I'm Mark Stein, I'm the Vice President, and I'm going to finally talk about the last program today, which is our Adult Day Services program. You'll see it in the budget also called what's it called? The Community Access to the Deaf. So it's got lots of acronyms. So anyway, but it's the Adult Day Services program, very small program that last year did $105,000 in revenue, which is a little bit off its goal, but it still was generating a surplus. So that's all about census-driven kind of things. So we're talking about less than 24 individuals here being served. These 17 clients who were served received 1,246 hours of service. This is one staff person, by the way, doing all of this. And she also was able to perform 314 days of service. That was sometimes in groups, so those days add up, but still, there's all, you can see the volume is very high. You heard about our deaf bowling group before at New Berlin Bowl, which is a very popular group. It's still going on, and it's really, you'll see, I think you might see it in the video, or in the pictures here.
Yes.
And then we still have 4 clients in a group that we talked about last year when we talked to you, Memory Improvement Group, which Ruth's renaming to the Game Group because it's kind of about memory games and other sorts of things to stay on task. Budgets here just for the last 5 years, you can see it stays relatively the same except for that little COVID blip there, and the revenue is all Medicaid. It's very solid and very reliable because this is the only place people can get this service. So next slide, please. We are having some impacts from the fact that this program's been around a while and people stay with it for a very long time and now they're aging out. So we're seeing some issues for that. That's pretty typical. We do have some newer, younger people have come to the program, but we're always looking for more referrals. You can see that the caseload's dropped a bit, which is impacting revenues just slightly as well. We still rely on our favorite paratransit folks every day, which makes for Ruth to have headaches more days than she doesn't, but she does a good job managing that. We've also had a reduction in our pre-vocational service group, which we'll see a little bit here in a second, an example of. Video link, please, real quick, and then we're going to wrap this up fast. Thank you for your indulgence at the end of the day here, everybody. Appreciate it. So this is, Ruth had to really run around the community for this one. So here we did Ruth, my other Ruth, Ruth Stir, the therapist for the group, schedules all of these events herself. She found this great little artsy craft place in Greendale that was so welcoming to people with disabilities, and they love serving people with disabilities, even though it's not their mission or what they primarily do. And they had everybody come in, they dedicated a staff to the group, and they had great activities that everybody felt really good about. It was really kind of heartwarming and fun to see everybody really proud of their stuff. Also, you're going to see in just a second here, there's a splash room. If any of you want to go somewhere fun, they put you all up and they just say go for it. And you'll see the splash room anyway. So this is St. Vincent de Paul, and this is a thrift store. And what our volunteer here who's doing pre-vocational training is doing is putting together some of the merchandise to get it ready to go back out on the floor. She's been doing this a long time, and normally Ruth has about 3 or 4 people doing this. So they're a great group, and the staff there are very supportive. This is back in our business center here, Wisconsin. We have several of our volunteers doing pre-vocational sort of office work, including our wonderful shredding of all of our stuff we get back from our billing department for the most part. And then lastly, this is in our group room here in the lower level where everyone's doing journaling in this video clip, and that's something where I'll tie back to journaling in just a second. And also some movement exercises using our great high-tech smart board that we have down there in that area. So that's really great. This is our group at one of their outings. We're working on the program and making sure we keep it diverse and making sure that our budget, we stay within our budget and our caseload to increase a little bit. Now the next slide. Our impact story is really cool. This is Matt and Danny. The program's intent is to get people back into the community and not stuck in their home or in their settings wherever they live. So Ruth getting them out there introduced these 2 gentlemen and their families and guardians to these 2 sports, golf and bowling. So they hadn't done much of it before, but they took to it so much and started doing it so often outside of their group with here Wisconsin that they decided to enter the Special Olympics. So on the left here, Matt not only won the state in Wisconsin for golf, but went to nationals, and this is his showing his 5th place finish in the country. So Matt was very, very proud, and it was a huge moment for him. Danny, on the other side, went to not just the regionals here for bowling, but went to state up in Wausau and won first place. So these 2 guys had just these tremendous experiences that were outcroppings of the activities and the sort of integration that are happening in that program, which we're so proud of. So that is the Adult Day program update.